"Arrest him," my sister said, pointing at my son as if he were a criminal. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The officer hesitated. "Ma'am, he's just a child. He stole my diamond bracelet," she replied sharply. "It's worth $20,000. Check his backpack." I stood frozen at the edge of the porch, gripping my purse so tightly that my fingers ached. My son, Eli, only 11 years old, was crying, shaking his head, whispering, "Mom, I didn't take anything." The officers looked uneasy, but they continued with the search. One of them, young and clearly nervous, unzipped his small backpack. Inside was a bracelet, glittering, shiny, carefully placed. "No," I gasped. "That wasn't there before." My sister crossed her arms, a smug smile spreading across her face. "Maybe you shouldn't have raised a thief." Behind her, my parents stood in the doorway, silently watching. Not a word, not a single word to defend him. The officers placed cuffs on Eli's small wrists. The sound of the metal closing around them broke something deep inside me. He looked at me, tears running down his face. "Mommy, I swear I didn't." "I know," I whispered softly. "I know, baby." As the police car drove away, I looked directly at my sister. "Why?" She smiled slightly, adjusting her hair. "Because you've always believed you were better than me." That was the moment something inside me died, and something else took its place. Cold, focused, unforgiving. My name is Lena Hart. I'm 31 years old. And that day, I stopped being the kind sister. The moment the police car disappeared down the street, my parents turned toward the house as if nothing had happened. "Mom," I shouted, "you just watched them handcuff your grandson." My mother sighed, clearly irritated. "Lena, your sister wouldn't lie about something like this. Maybe the boy just made a mistake." "A mistake?" That was the word they used when my son was taken away, terrified, in the back of a police car. My father spoke quietly. "We'll handle it calmly. There's no need for drama." I laughed, a dry, broken sound. "Drama? You just let your grandson get arrested because of a lie." My sister remained there, arms folded, her lips curved in the same satisfied smile she wore whenever she believed she had won. "Face it, Lena," she said sweetly. "You've always been the problem in this family. It was only a matter of time before your chaos affected your son." My hands trembled, but my voice remained steady. "You planted that bracelet." Her eyes flashed with amusement. "Then prove it." She turned and walked inside, humming casually, as if she hadn't just ruined a child's life. Mom followed her, whispering, "Don't make this worse." That night, I sat alone in my car outside the police station. Eli was inside, scared, crying, and I couldn't reach him yet. But I remembered everything. Every smirk, every word, every look of satisfaction on my sister's face. She thought she had destroyed me. What she actually did was wake me up. By morning, I wasn't crying anymore. I was planning. Eli was released into my custody after the officers confirmed his age. But the damage was already done. The whispers, the rumors, the quiet looks at school. Son of an accused thief. I watched him sleeping on the couch, his small wrists still red where the cuffs had been. My stomach tightened. This wasn't about a bracelet anymore. It was about power, my sister's favorite currency. The next day, I began quietly collecting evidence. Screenshots, messages, bank records, everything she had ever bragged about while drunk at family dinners. Her fake charity fund, her ghost employees, her business trips that were really weekend escapes with her boss. By evening, I had gathered a folder so thick it felt heavy in my hands. Then I called a number I hadn't dialed in 5 years. Detective Rowan, the same officer who once investigated my sister's company for embezzlement. He answered with a tired voice. "Lena Hart, haven't heard that name in a while." "I have something you'll want to see," I said. "It involves the Hastings Foundation and the bracelet was worth $20,000, yet it was never actually stolen." There was a brief silence on the phone. Then a voice replied, "Bring it in. But if you're playing games, Lena." "I'm not," I interrupted. "She used the police to humiliate an 11-year-old. Now I'm using the truth to expose her." When I ended the call, I looked at Eli sleeping nearby. "This time, baby," I whispered quietly, "Mom isn't staying silent." Detective Rowan met me in a dim interrogation room at the precinct. He looked older than I remembered, more tired. But when I placed the thick folder on the table in front of him, his posture immediately changed. "Are these what I think they are?" he asked. "Every transaction, fake invoice, and hidden transfer my sister has made over the last 3 years," I explained. "She's been funneling money through her own charity. Millions. He flipped through the pages, his expression tightening. And this bracelet situation? He asked. She planted it, I said plainly. She used her connections in the department to file a false report, to embarrass me and damage my son's reputation. Rowan exhaled slowly. If we can prove this, it's felony fraud, conspiracy, and false accusation. Then prove it, I replied quietly, and make sure she never uses a police officer as a weapon again. He nodded after a moment. I'll start the process, but you'll need to stay quiet for now. I smiled slightly. The same confident smile my sister often used when she believed she had won. Staying quiet is something I'm very good at. When I left the station, I noticed her car parked across the street, a silver BMW she had purchased with stolen grant money. She was sitting inside, laughing on the phone while sipping an expensive latte. She didn't notice me walking past. But soon, she would. Because within 72 hours, every company she had worked with and every investor she had misled would finally see the truth about who she really was. By the next morning, the first dominoes had already begun to fall. Detective Rowan's team worked quickly, faster than I had expected. They quietly contacted the bank, the grant office, and the supposed sponsors of my sister's foundation. Every number uncovered another ghost account. Every transaction revealed another layer of fraud. At home, Eli seemed quieter than usual. He sat by the window, tracing the condensation on the glass with his finger. "Mom," he said softly, "did I do something bad?" I knelt beside him and gently brushed his hair back. "You did nothing wrong, sweetheart," I told him. "Some adults did." He nodded, trusting me completely. That trust only made my determination stronger. That night, I prepared the final step of my plan, an email. It included attachments, spreadsheets, audio recordings, photos, and financial documents. And above them all, one simple sentence: the truth about the Hastings Foundation. I scheduled the email to be sent to every journalist, board member, and donor on Monday morning at exactly 8 a.m. At 8:02, my phone began vibrating continuously. By 8:10, the story had spread everywhere, trending, breaking, and moving quickly across media platforms. Charity director under investigation for major fraud scheme. I sat quietly, sipping my coffee while my sister's face appeared across every newsfeed. At 8:27, my mother called, shouting, "What have you done? You've ruined her career." I looked out the window, my reflection calm and steady. "No, Mom," I replied quietly. "I didn't ruin her career. I simply turned on the lights and let the truth come out." By noon, the situation had grown beyond a simple scandal. It had become a major public investigation. The accounts of the Hastings Foundation were frozen. The Board of Trustees stepped down in panic. Reporters gathered outside her gated neighborhood. Every news channel showed the same footage. My sister in her designer coat, covering her face with her handbag while cameras flashed around her. Despite everything, she still called me. Her voice trembled, not with guilt, but with anger. "You think this makes you better than me?" she said sharply. "You embarrassed your own family. You destroyed everything." I held the phone to my ear and paused for a moment before responding. "You destroyed it yourself the moment you called the police on my child." "You don't understand, Lena," she shouted. "It was only supposed to scare him." "Not? Not what?" I interrupted. "Not handcuff him? Not traumatize him? Not make him feel worthless because his mother isn't wealthy enough?" Her silence answered the question. "Listen carefully," I continued, my voice steady and controlled. "You believed you were untouchable because Mom and Dad always protected you. But the law doesn't care about family connections, and neither do I." When the call ended, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. Eli slowly looked into the room, concern on his face. "Are you okay, Mom?" I smiled at him, genuinely this time. "Yes," I said quietly. "I think we both are." Outside, the headlines continued to grow. The process of justice had only begun. The following days unfolded slowly, almost like watching events in slow motion. Each hour brought another report, another update. Investigators confirmed that my sister had forged grant records and transferred more than $4.3 million into offshore accounts. My parents tried to contact me repeatedly, texts, voicemails, message after message, repeating the same idea. Family shouldn't destroy family. But the truth was, that line had already been crossed. They had already chosen a side long ago. When a reporter appeared at their doorstep, I knew the truth had finally reached them. My mother called, crying, saying she couldn't believe the police were bringing my sister in for questioning. "She's your sister, Lena," she said through tears. "Blood is blood." "Tell that to the 11-year-old you watched being taken away in handcuffs," I replied. My voice shook, but it remained firm. "You called it discipline. I call it betrayal." After that, there was only silence. Later that evening, as the sun lowered in the sky, I stood by the window watching Eli build a Lego tower on the rug. He hummed quietly to himself, calm and safe, something I hadn't seen in months. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Detective Rowan. She confessed, "You and your son won't have to testify." I read the message twice, then locked my screen and took a slow breath. For the first time in years, the house didn't feel heavy with tension. It felt like our home again, peaceful, steady, and complete. Eli looked up and smiled. "Mom, can we bake cookies tonight?" I smiled back. "Yes, we can." The trial moved forward and ended faster than many people expected. My sister accepted a plea deal, 5 years in prison, reduced because she cooperated with investigators. Her husband lost his teaching license after it was discovered he had falsified financial records. And my parents, their names appeared in local newspapers as complicit supporters who had ignored the truth. For the first time, silence surrounded the Hastings family, not because of pride, but because of embarrassment. A month later, I returned to the same police station where my son had once been treated like a criminal. This time, Detective Rowan met us at the door with a friendly expression. "Eli," he said, bending slightly to speak to him, "I hear you're a very brave kid, and I'm told you're doing well in school." Eli smiled shyly. "Mom helps me study." Rowan looked at me and nodded. "And you helped bring justice." As we walked outside, the sunlight felt different, warm and clear. For a long time, I believed peace was something you simply waited for or hoped to receive. But that day, I understood something important. Peace is something you build, step by step, truth by truth. Weeks passed. I returned to work and focused on rebuilding the life that had almost been taken from us. Eli began sleeping peacefully every night. The fear and nightmares gradually disappeared. One evening, I sat at the kitchen table holding an old family photo, my sister, my parents, and me. I didn't feel anger anymore. What I felt instead was relief. Some conflicts break you, others set you free. And when you finally stop protecting the people who hurt you, you begin to understand what real peace sounds like.